I'm Spencer Christian from Good Morning America. Here's an update on hurricane/tropical storm Bonnie. The storm roared through Virginia Beach last night, and of course, it left extensive damage in its path. There were many reports of portions of roofs being blown off houses. Some windows were shattered. There were power outages all over the area. Many of the hotels down along the beach here had flooding and had some structural damage, and that's a difficult thing for the hotels because we only have a couple of weeks left in the summer tourist season. Right now, things are calming down. The storm has moved out to sea, and it looks like we've felt the worst that we're going to feel, but it may be several days before power is fully restored to all subscribers here in Virginia Beach. It was a bit frightening for me last night because I was in my hotel room when the worst of it was hitting the area, but as things began to calm down and the winds diminished a bit, I was able to get just enough sleep that I could go on the air this morning for Good Morning America and be reasonably coherent. But as you can see, I haven't shaved in a few days because I've been chasing this storm for quite some time. It looks like Virginia Beach has coped quite well with the storm. People have taken all the watches and warnings seriously, and they've done a good job of preparing for the worst. Remarkably, there were no serious injuries. For Virginia Beach Frontline Firefighter, I'm Spencer Christian.
Hello and welcome to this month's Virginia Beach Frontline Firefighter. Thanks for joining us. We're coming to you from Norfolk International Airport, where Flight 911 has just landed in a little bit of trouble. Actually, what you're seeing behind you is the Department of Fire Program's newest ARF mock-up, Flight 911. Firefighters from Engine 14 in Norfolk are fighting the fire right now, and we're going to bring you this story along with some Frontline quick tips just after these messages.
Hi, I'm Kaylin Brent, and you're watching Virginia Beach Frontline Firefighter.
Hello and welcome to Admin Update. And joining us in the studio is Chief Carter. Chief Carter's agreed to come by today and discuss some operational issues with us. Chief, welcome to the studio.
Good to be back.
Okay, let's talk about a couple of things we've heard down here at the training center. Some in-service has been going on now for a week or two. Had a chance to talk to some of the firefighters, and it seems like some of the questions or issues, one of the things that is being discussed is uniforms. Okay. There has been some discussion as to the T-shirts that we currently have now. Golf shirts, are we going to get golf shirts for the firefighters in the field? Can you just give us the update on that whole program?
Yes, and we are going to get golf shirts for the firefighters and the officers in the field. They should have already been here, but my understanding is that we had to refit the personnel, because the first time we did a fit, I guess some months back, they changed the style of the shirt, which means we had to refit. And my understanding is that has been done. The purchase order is over in purchasing as we speak, and going through the bid process. And because of the dollar figure, that's where it has to go. We can't just buy it outright. It has to be bid because of the amount of money that it entails. So that's where it is. I'm not sure when we'll get them. It could be the old proverbial 2 weeks, or it may be probably longer than that. I would not anticipate something before, maybe mid-November, to be quite honest.
Now, one thing too, another question we hear is the T-shirt issue. Not sure where that is. It's my understanding, and maybe you can clear this up too, is that at some point they may just be only for PT. Is that right? Or?
Well, yeah, we're not going to take them away. Mm-hmm. When you get the golf shirts issued to you, the golf shirt will obviously be used as your Class C shirt. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to continue to change and be presentable out there. And the T-shirts will probably just leave to the people that already have them, and they can use them for the physical activities, type stuff until they wear out. And then that sometime down the road we'll have to decide whether we're going to replace them and reissue them or whatever. But I think there's enough of them out there now where everybody's probably got a dozen or so out there, so we'll just let them continue to use them and use them for PT.
Okay, now the captains in the field and the firefighters are going to have blue, the golf shirts, they're going to be blue.
Right.
And the captains in the staff positions, training and FMO, are going to stay white, the original issue.
Yes, I think we originally looked at making all the captains would have a white shirt, and I think they surveyed the field operation captains and they said, time out, you know, you don't want a white shirt and turnout gear and in the field, it won't last long, we'll be replacing them. So my understanding from the survey came back, they said, no, give us the blue ones like the firefighters wear. I'm not sure if the lettering is going to be a different color or not. I don't have all those details, but I do know the overall shirt itself will be same color.
Okay. Let's talk now a little bit about some of the issues that were discussed this morning in the staff meeting. Today's Wednesday, the 14th. The department staff meeting was today. One of the issues that was talked extensively was on the PSRT, Public Safety Resource Team, and the plan to implement responding our ladder trucks on extrication calls. Can you just give us an idea where we are with that?
Yes, the Public Safety Resource Team has obviously been meeting now since I think May, working through some issues, and that's 5 people from fire and 5 from EMS meeting on I think a bi-monthly basis to talk about issues. And the first issue that they have elected to tackle is automatic responsive ladder trucks versus not automatic responsive ladder trucks on automobile accidents with pins. And they're working through that process. There was a presentation made in mid-August, I believe, to Chief Edwards and myself by this team, which was basically an executive summary of what they had put their thoughts together. We gave it back to them and said, we need a little more information. You need to talk about communications and how it's going to be implemented and some of the training that may need to be conducted, or at least see where we are, and maybe some tools that we may or may not have to have. I'm not sure what we have to have as far as tools is concerned either. So they have gone back, done some additional work on that. My understanding from Steve Cover, who is one of the co-chairs, is that they're going to have a meeting to finalize that report, I believe next week or the week after, and then make their presentation to Chief Cade and to Chief Edwards, after that. So I think that's pretty much where they are.
Now, I know there's a piece in this program that everyone will get a chance to see here in a few minutes, that update from Jim Milligan on the PSRT. And they talked to, I believe, one of the EMS members, Scott Kalis, who's on that committee. And Chief Alley, I know, is working with EMS right now and trying to coordinate some type of schedule coming up, possibly as early as the fall. Not sure of the timeline, but with some joint training between fire personnel and EMS on extrication techniques and whatnot.
Yeah, I think they're going to do something, and from my understanding, it's more of just a coordination effort than anything else. All of our employees, firefighters, and the volunteer squad members are instructed to the same level. At least that's my understanding. If we're all taking the vehicle extrication course through the state, it's the same. So we're all qualified to do the same work. Some of us may even be more qualified than others, but I don't know who that might be. So I think what they're trying to do is to work out who would do what when you showed up on the scene, working in collaboration with the squad trucks and the ladder trucks, more or less from a communication standpoint, to see if we're talking the same language, we have the same type of equipment, we have some tools that may interchange, and those types of things. I don't think it's from on a training standpoint of you need to learn how to do X. We already know how to do X and Y and Z for that matter. So I think it's more or less an opportunity to get the respective individuals or respective squads and truck company guys together at the same time, just from a training exercise.
Speaking of ladder companies and extrication, it kind of segues into our next topic, which you'll also see in the program, is the information we're going to give about draining the waterways on these ladder trucks and skirts before we put them back in. There's been some anecdotal instances, I guess, of maybe some seals breaking, so we're trying to get that information out to the firefighters out there to reference that.
Yes, matter of fact, I saw that piece, and basically I think what's driving that is, as you said, we've had a rash of activity in the last 2 or 3 months. And because of that activity, we've had a rash of breakdowns with the trucks. And a couple of our ladder trucks and telesquirts have been in the waterway area. So what we're trying to do is just go back and rehash that and make sure that we're doing the proper maintenance, if you will, when we're shutting these systems down, so we don't have to spend $5,000 or $6,000 on a ring on our ladder trucks, or $500 for an O-ring in the waterway on a telesquirt. That was what's driving that, just sort of a refresh our memory sometimes. Are we making sure we open the valve? Are we making sure that the waterway is drained before we put it back into bed? So it should be a good informational tool.
Another topic that was discussed at some length, and something that all of us are familiar with, especially, you can't live in today's society unless computers touch your life or impact your life in some way or another. A lot of discussion on just the computer needs of the department. I mean, we are becoming more and more dependent upon the computers, and that will just continue to grow. Kathy, big job for her Kathy LaFawn, trying to keep all the maintenance issues and software issues with the computers. There was a lot of discussion about maybe bringing in some of the firefighters into a group and maybe getting that a little bit more formalized.
Yeah, and rightfully so. As you said, Kathy, a small person trying to do a big job, obviously. If she were here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I don't know that she could keep up with all of the issues that are out there and all the little idiosyncrasies that these things create for us. We have become very, very dependent on computerization and the hardware and the software. We need to be more attuned to that. We try to use information technology as much as we can to support Kathy, but they're not always timely in their response, whether it be the employee or the contractor. I think the discussion led this morning that we need to do something maybe in-house to help her out. And my understanding when we left staff meeting was we would facilitate a meeting of our computer literate employees that have the expertise to do some of this repair, if you will, or assist Kathy. You know, the people, like Har Summerlin and Stan Morris and Pat Taché and those types of individuals, and I probably left off 100 that probably have some of that same expertise. But I know these people have been working with us in the past trying to help support the programs, and I think they're going to try to get everybody back together and say, what is it that we can do to empower you to go out and help fix A, B, or C if in fact it breaks, or at least take a look at it. Maybe like a Band-Aid, I guess, for a cut finger, and until we get a doctor in there to take a look at it.
Yeah, in fact, I think there was some mention that there's some computer reps, some of them already in place, and they may just need some software to crash a system and build it back up. And just I think that effort is going to take place. I guess Chief Kellum may be at spearheading, or I know that's under his department, working with Kathy with the computer needs of the department.
Yeah, I think he's going to try to drive a meeting, get his people together. I mean, I know from my standpoint, we look for Kathy all the time because there's always something happening, and I have become so dependent on that little machine, the one-eyed monster I call it, that if it doesn't work, then I feel like I'm out of work. So we're going to try to do something to address that. If we expect them to do their job on these computers, then we've got to provide the software, the hardware, and the technical support to keep it moving.
Speaking of software, there was another discussion in reference to computers, and that was on the Fire Pro. A lot of discussion on that system and whatnot. We know that I think the biggest thing that I guess caught my attention was that there are probably better systems out there, but for several $100,000. I mean, just so cost prohibitive. I think one of the solutions, as far as maybe the time it has taken some of the battalion officers to go through and validate, or I guess check some of these reports, is that there probably is going to be a system in place where the captain can authorize the reports that the battalion chief does not take command on, and the ones the battalion chief takes command on, then I guess they're going to authorize.
Yeah, the Fire Pro system itself is a neat concept. Obviously, it was designed for a department that may be a little smaller than ours, and we're not getting the support, in my opinion, and I'm sure the field people that have to use these things would agree, from the software manufacturers to keep us moving at the pace that we are moving with these programs. Aside from that, because of software and hardware problems again, it's awful time-consuming and cumbersome for the battalion chief to log on a shift and have to check, let's say, 20 or 30 reports in a 24-hour period, and the time frame that it takes to do that. So one of the suggestions that was made, and we looked at the possibility of implementing it, would be basically what you said. The captain that's on duty or the master firefighter that's filling in for the officer would then fill out the report, lock the report, and send a report. Unless the battalion chief actually was dispatched and showed up on the scene. Then the battalion chief would be responsible for unlocking, verifying, checking, signing, whatever else is needed for those reports to see if that will move us along a little faster, in the overall process. So we're going to try this, I think. There'll be something coming out, obviously, from Kathy LaFawn or Jim Kellum or somebody upstairs to say, here's the new process and we're going to implement this on day whatever. Right. I would encourage, to try it, give it a shot. If we got some serious problems with it, let us know what the problems are and we'll try to work back through those. So.
Okay. Another interesting topics that were covered were CIP issues, fire stations, future capital improvement projects for our department. Want just touch on a few of those that are coming up, coming up.
Too many projects, not enough money. I mean, that's sort of where we are with all of that. Yes, we try to give a little lesson this morning about our CIP projects, and every year we submit projects through our capital improvement program along with the rest of local government about what we think is important. And there are several things that we have and have had for a number of years out there. Obviously, the replacement of the Sandbridge Station is critical. The construction of the new Red Mill General Booth Station is critical. The renovation of the current Station 5 is critical, and that's contingent upon New 21 being built. Some complete renovation of some other stations, Station 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, that have been around since the 1970s, and they need some repair inside, bathrooms, kitchens, tile floors, and carpets, and those types of things. But in order to meet a CIP program, each project has to be able to stand alone and be valued at $50,000 or more dollars. And when we put these in there, we don't usually get them funded. So what we're trying to do is to go back and look at the critical needs in our day-to-day operating capital improvement package and fix some of the things that need to be fixed. For example, the bathroom replacement and repair at the Blackwater Station, the add-on bunk room that we did at the Sandbridge Station, kitchens and repairs that have been done at Company 2 and 10. And we're going to try to do some of the same things this year at Stations 8 and 7 and 13 and replace some carpet in some other stations and repair some concrete. But there's only a limited number of dollars there. The CIP package only gives us $120-some thousand every year. That doesn't go very far when you're trying to stretch it over 20 buildings and you got several $10,000 or $12,000 projects. Roof at Company 3 alone came in at $163,000, and there's only 122 in the account. So it sort of tells you where we are.
Someone's got to give there.
So we backed that up, we rebid it because timing is everything, and this came in just about the time Hurricane Bonnie was leaving the area, and the contractors were escalating their prices, obviously, because of the demand on their services. And so we rebid that, and that bid will come back in, I think, the end of this week to see where we are. So that CIP project is working. But we are trying to do what we can with the limited funds we have. And these same projects that we just spoke about that have been in our CIP package for the last 2 or 3 years will be right back in there again this year with new dollars attached to them, current money as opposed to old money.
Also, I know you mentioned in the meeting that I believe you say you have a meeting coming up with some other members of the department on just some talks on the General Booth fire station.
Yes, as a matter of fact, Mark, we have a meeting scheduled tomorrow night, the 15th of this month, with the Hunt Club Civic League, That's centering around the library referendum that's going to go on the ballot for the November ballot. That community has surfaced some concerns and issues about the library, and along with that, the fire station. You know, if you're going to build a library, are you going to build a fire station? And if so, when? What kind of noise is it going to create? Who's going to be in it? Who's it going to serve? And those types of things. So they have invited Parks and Recreation, libraries, fire representatives, and general services to this meeting. And since Chief Cade is out of town, I'll represent the department at this particular meeting to discuss those issues. I think there's quite a bit of concern over there. Hopefully that they want the department to build a facility, not that they don't want the department to build a facility. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that goes. It'd be interesting to see where we come from.
Now we have some retirements taking place, and already have taken place. We've lost some folks over the past month or so. Mm-hmm. I know that the plan that was discussed this morning is to possibly bring some firefighters online sometime, maybe first of the year.
Yes, we'd like to bring them on sooner, but that's obviously not going to happen. We just went through a complete hiring process, interview process, to see where we are with 150 some applicants, and have narrowed that list down. Now we need to do the other work, and that is to start the background investigations, the psychological screenings, and the physicals, and the polygraphs. That takes a while. Obviously we don't have a medical doctor on board until December the 1st. Police department's trying to run 2 recruit schools, ready for 2 recruit schools. Occupational health's busy. That's pushing us back a little bit, and so we're pushing as hard as we can to get these people through this process in a 60-day window, which we feel like if we do, we'll be lucky. Mm-hmm. And then we got some holidays obviously coming around with Christmas and New Year's and those types of things that are going to pop up on us, that are going to slow the process down. So we're guesstimating that the outside hiring date is going to be January 16th. That will cover everybody that's currently vacant and everybody that we anticipate leaving between now and that date. So we may have as many as 10 or 12 mm-hmm. new people on board.
Sure.
And I know we're scheduling to bring them down here for that 2-week mini class starting along that timeline. So,
speaking of those new recruits coming in here, something that is kind of near and dear to us down here is our smokehouse. And I know you were in a meeting the other day about our smokehouse. There was some discussion this morning about the plans to either I'd say rebuild, but it's going to have to be a new one, but possibly maybe trying to hold on to the one we have currently to use for non-fire training, which I know that we're in negotiations to do that, and then the building of a new one.
Yes, this is a critical issue for us, we think. This is a livelihood, if you will. The fire department is in the business to do that kind of stuff, or one of the businesses anyway. And we haven't had a smokehouse now for several months, and we need to get that back online. So we are pushing as hard as we can. We've got an engineer on board that we've contracted with, a design engineer. I'm excited about our original meeting that we've had the other day with him to talk about what our needs are and what this new smokehouse may look like. Our questions are, where are we going to put it on the property? And 2, how much is it going to cost us? Mm-hmm. And obviously the third question is, when will it be built? Well, we have the funding. That's from the Department of Fire Programs money, so we can build the building if it comes in within a reasonable price anyway. We have to sit down now and design and look at some the layout of the land. Where would it best fit us here, and how much would it cost us to get it there? Or do we put it right back where the other one is if we A, tear that one down, or B, build this one adjacent to it and use that one as an exposure, if you will. All those things are in the works. It's moving along fairly rapidly, I think, after we got all this other stuff behind us. Obviously, the paperwork takes the longest, but I'm kind of excited about it. I know you guys were in a meeting along with Chief Alley and the people from Public Works and Building Maintenance. They're kind of excited about what might happen here, too. So if things go along like we have planned, sort of to run our target date, hopefully we'll see something standing up out there we can use by July of next year, which is a pretty fast timeline, especially within local government and dealing with local government and state government. I'm excited about it.
Well, there certainly isn't any shortage of issues, and activities going on out there in our department, that's for certain. And anything you want to add as we close up here? Anything that we maybe didn't touch on that you want to talk about here briefly, or things that are going on up at admin? Or
no, Mark, I think the only thing I'd like to say, if I could, is I'd like to clone myself and be able to go out and spend some time with the people in the stations. That doesn't happen enough for me. I would hope that they enjoy the time that we do get together to talk about some of these same types of issues, so they get to hear it firsthand as opposed to rumor and that kind of stuff. And we are so busy in our lives today, dealing with the day-to-day issues and the local government issues, going through the transition, obviously, of bringing in the new chief and trying to get him acclimated to what's going on, not just in the organization, but within the city government as well. That all takes some time for all of us, and we're dealing with all these issues that we've talked about, here today. But I think one of the things that I miss probably the most is being able to just, get out and go out and visit the stations and just talk to the people, because we've got a wealth of knowledge out there, and unfortunately, we don't take the opportunity sometimes to take advantage of it. So I will try to do my best to get out there a little more than I have in the past. My time is going to free up a little bit, I hope, with Chief K taking over some of those duties that we've been doing for the last year or two. And so hopefully we'll get out to see them and listen to what they have to say.
Well, Chief, again, thanks for coming by and spending some time with us today. Don't forget, if you have some issues or topics out there you'd like us to address with Chief Carter, please give us a call at the Talkback line. Hopefully the Chief will be back in here about a month or so, and we'll be able to interview him again, and we'll be able to ask him some of your concerns or questions that we may not have addressed today, and we'll get those on the air. Now let's take a look at firefighter survivability with Captain Dennis Keene.
The scenario we're going to look at now may be one that is very familiar to the new recruits and those who have been through HTR schools. It's called a shake and bake. And the idea behind this, again, is to get yourself very familiar with your SCBA and how it gets put together in a condition such as the fellows behind us with their mask covered. They will, at the sound, start to find all the components to their breathing apparatus, put it together, have it on their back, breathing air, fully clothed, ready to go to work. All right, fellas, go ahead and get yourself started. Again, everybody, we're using the Survive Air, so the equipment's all very similar. They just need to get it out in front of them and start putting it together. Again, the idea behind our drills now is to become more and more familiar with our SCBA, other than just putting it on our back when we drive down the road. Everybody will communicate amongst themselves to make sure that everybody has the components of their breathing apparatus. And as you can see, they get it into the harness, get their first stage regulator hooked up. You see they got the components together, they're getting on air. They'll put the breathing apparatus on their backs. And instilling teamwork, it's important that the whole company works together. We have one firefighter who is going to get a little extra help from John, who's fully clothed, ready to go. And John can perhaps strap the bottle into the harness while we're waiting. Got to get that clip up, John. You on air? I'm on air. Okay, good. Let's sling the bottle appropriately so you don't catch up in the regulator, okay? All right. Let me know if you know. All right, what's that? Robert, you okay? Yeah, I'm on this again, okay? I got crossed up. Okay, you're on air there, so we're okay. Here's your strap. Here, right here. Take your time, so you're on it if it doesn't matter. This is why we're still here as a group. We'll make our way down the hallway through the kitchen and go through the studded wall. You guys all right with that? Yep. To continue with our drill process, when we talk about firefighter survivability, there may be that time when you have to move from an untenable room into another room that's more tenable for whatever reason. Perhaps you can't find a window or a door. If you had the proper tools, you can then take the sheetrock out and make your way through a studded wall. The idea here was to instill confidence amongst ourselves that yes, we can actually fit through a 16-inch on-center studded wall. As you can see, the firefighters are progressing through that. Obviously, we'd have to take out the sheetrock and secure any wiring that may be through there. The firefighters proceed right through a makeshift door that we made with some scrap wood. Again, their faces are completely covered so they can't see. They're doing this in darkened conditions such as they would be in a real building. Staying low to the ground and making their way through. As you can tell, one firefighter is already low on air, his whistle's sounding. And the opportunity here is that if he runs out of air completely, the other firefighters are going to need to supply air to him. As we continue with our drills, we obviously identified some problems. I've mentioned some of them earlier with regards to blocking the buddy port, but another one that we did find or identified was a habit that some of us had. And this may not relate to the newer guys in the department, but the older firefighters, and that was the one of a bypass. Remember, when you start to have air problems, one of the first areas you go to troubleshoot would be a bypass. What we found was, not only amongst our crew, but amongst the fill-ins, relief guys coming in, particularly if they've been on a job for a while, is that they were reaching for the bypass on the waist belt. If you recall, in the years previously, all our older breathing apparatus had the bypass located down on the waist belt. And through habit or years of operating with one breathing apparatus, it's still instilled in many of us that the bypass is located on the waist. And it only takes a second to realize that that's not there, that the bypass is up here on the top. And when you talk about a time when you need air, perhaps to fumble for the waist is not a time to realize that it's up here. So again, the drill is designed to make us more familiar with our SCBA or to reiterate how our SCBA functions, and that the bypass is located up here on a second stage regulator going into your mask. As our progression of the drill continues, we want, again, to make it as complicated as possible or as lifelike if we're actually out on the fire ground. And to put it all together, what we try to simulate here in the station is the room that's started becoming untenable and the conditions are obviously deteriorating. We have a firefighter who's out of air and we need to get air supply to him. As you'll see in this next scenario, the firefighters are not going to be able to stand up and be comfortable as they were out in the bay earlier. They now will have to focus and work on the conditions where you're down on your knees or even down on your belly, and now making an air exchange. And this, again, can be real lifelike. This may be the scenario we find ourselves in. Firefighter survivability, when you're going to need it, is going to be the times when conditions are getting untenable and deteriorated tremendously. And then you have to perform these simple, what would be simple maneuvers out there in the bay, but they continually or progressively get harder and harder through the drill, and hopefully to simulate what we may find in a real scenario. So we'll walk through this one here with the fellas. Again, you can see now the firefighters are not able to stand up and conduct, again, a simple maneuver as such as the buddy breathing. By constantly training, though, and we have trained, we pick these drills at least once or twice a month. Again, over the last 6 months, I think we've become more and more acclimated to how our buddy breathing system is going to work. You can tell that the crew is talking amongst themselves. Communication is very important. Again, in a room full of furniture and narrow hallways, we might find ourselves in some very tight situations just like this. And more importantly now, as the firefighters hook up to each other, they're going to have to move out of this situation as a group. And you'll see that here. The company will then progress outside the building through the exit out to a safe refuge. All their PAL devices are on, and they are to shake them if at any time they start to activate. But remember, in the real scenario, your PAL device should be activated and fully alerted while you're doing all this. And during our trainings, we do that later on, so that constant beeping, that constant noise from the PAL device sort of inhibits your ability to hear each other. It's important here that everybody communicates, that they don't get up inadvertently and pull the mask off of each other. Covered masks, they're still in darkness here, they can't see what they're doing, and they're trying to find their exit out the door. As a group, as a team, they exit the building. During the process of doing these drills over a number of months, we found that there are a few other things that can hinder us as far as getting into a buddy breathing port. Some of those hindrances would be, one, the blue cap. Obviously this is put on that extra port so that we don't get any dirt or debris inside there. Perfectly well, and you need to keep this in place at all times, but when you're ready to share this port, if Robert was going to share this with the other firefighters, he should take that blue cap off so it doesn't hinder the firefighter who needs air in getting his second stage regulator up into the port here. So it's important for you to realize that that is on there and it needs to be taken off. It's just a matter of just hitting it with your finger and it'll flop off. The other thing we have found is that when the buddy breathing port is up inside, wrapped around this strap here, it is very, very difficult to make a connection, even after all the training we've done. So we've elected now, obviously, to have this undone prior. Every shift we will undo it and then just strap it back just like this here, so that the buddy breathing port hangs a little lower and gives you some more leverage to get your hand behind it. When it's up in here, it's very difficult to grab it with your other hand. With it hanging down below, now I can grab it with, the firefighter can grab it with one hand and get his buddy breathing system into it. Those are two unique problems we found inherent just with the breathing apparatus in itself. Some other problems we've seen or identified during these drills is many of us, we certainly love the survival lights. They've come in handy many times, but we also find that a lot of the guys prefer to also hook that up into the strap. Either into the strap in the breathing harness itself, breathing apparatus itself, or we take a piece of Velcro and wrap it around so it hangs. Now, when you come into a problem, when you need to use this buddy breathing port, now you have the survival light in your way, and it kind of tends to give you less flexibility in regards to bringing your buddy breathing port in. So if you want to wear your survival light, perhaps you can find another way, either on the opposite side, although that'll hinder your gauge, or find someplace on your coat where you can actually put your survival light on. Some of the other areas we have found that have become hindrances, we all have elected to, Robert, just slide that on over. Put it over so it's over your buddy breathing port now. A lot of guys are starting to wear different types of straps across themselves, whether it's for their portable radios or the AL5000s, a great light. But what happens is when you start draping things over the buddy breathing port, they also may become a hindrance. This is sitting up a little high, but perhaps as it slides around, it may also be in the way of you getting your buddy breathing port. So what we are suggesting here is that if you're going to wear ancillary equipment, is that you wear it away from that buddy breathing port. Again, since we've had the breathing apparatus, we as a fire department have not had the opportunity to have to actually use this on the fire ground. But we can't get complacent with the fact that it is here for that exact purpose, and that is when the firefighter runs out of air, he can then hook up to the firefighter alongside him without much difficulty. And that can be done by increasing your training, and two, being aware of the fact that all this ancillary gear can get in the way of this buddy breathing port and make a great deal of hindrance on the fire ground when that need for that air is pertinent at that point, and it can't be done because we have something hanging in the way. If you have any further comments or suggestions, you can call the talkback line. You see the number on the screen, and we'd appreciate any feedback. And for Frontline Firefighter, I am Dennis Keene.
Here is an apparatus quick tip, and it concerns the waterway on the ladder trucks and squirts. It is important to remember to open the drain valve at the base of the waterway as well as the nozzle to allow trapped water to drain when the aerial is retracting. If the water does not drain before you retract the ladder, the seals and piping are at risk of rupturing. According to Doug Moss at the fire department pump shop, he says that there are 1.5-inch relief valves on the waterways. These valves can easily be overridden if the water has not been fully drained. Locate the drains for each truck and become familiar with them. Some are the pull type, while others are a quarter turn. The Grumman ladder trucks are equipped with a shutoff valve at the tip. It is imperative that these valves are opened when retracting. Mark, can you tell me what Ladder 8's crew does after you finish flowing at a fire?
Well, Martin, our normal procedure is to have a guy leave the nozzle up in the bucket open, and also we go around to the rear and open the drain. It's a quarter turn valve, and we open that up, leave it extended for, a minute or two to let the water drain out the drain hole at the bottom behind the truck.
The LTI and squirts have automatic nozzles and should be open to the straight stream position when retracting, as opposed to fog to allow more trapped water to escape. This is Master Firefighter Martin Gruby for this quick tip, and if you have any ideas, call the talkback line at 437-4816.
Hello, I'm Jim Milligan. I'm one of the committee members with the PSRT team, and with me is Scott Kalis. Scott's my partner on the team. Scott, why don't you tell the folks a little bit about what we've been trying to accomplish over the past couple months?
Well, we're trying to work on some cooperative alliances with the squad truck personnel and ladder truck personnel at this current moment. We've looked at various issues, and this is one of the issues right now that we're trying to formulate some training this fall between the squad truck personnel and the ladder truck personnel. This work will be done at the Fire Training Center this fall with all the ladder truck shifts and all the squad truck personnel within the city, and trying to create a more cooperative alliance between the two groups, which obviously work together on a daily basis.
Yeah, this is not anything that they don't do on the street now. I mean, they're actually doing this work now. We just want everybody to have the same training, so regardless of the ladder truck and regardless of the crash truck from wherever around the city, they'll know exactly how to work as a team, and I think that's really important.
That's correct, it is. It's one of the more important factors of what we try to do on the PSR team is try and get everybody standardized and singing from the same sheet of music, as it were.
Yeah, that's right. Now, we've got a lot of other issues that we're going to be covering in the future. I must say that this is a difficult committee. There is a tremendous amount of work that has to be done, and we're trying to get out minutes to everybody so that you know exactly what's taking place.
Monthly.
And Scott, how do they get on email to find out a little bit more about what we're doing?
Well, the group-wise system, which all the fire companies have and all the rescue stations have, has a public group called PSR Team that you can access from your station computer and send us email directly. That email will be filtered through the committee, and then the issues will be addressed back to the requestor.
Yeah, that's right. Now, the committee consists of 5 fire personnel and 5 EMS personnel, and we're all partnered up one-on-one. As an example, Scott is my partner, and we try to communicate with one another on a regular basis. We feel that this is going to help with a little bit of cooperative effort in trying to make this thing happen. I tell you, we're finding out that there's a little bit of animosity out there on occasions, and this is something that we're just trying to overcome.
Right. It's something that a lot of it is perceived, a lot of it is imagined. There is obviously personalities on both sides of the team, but what we're trying to work towards is some common ground where everybody is working for the same purpose, which is the citizens of the city.
Right. Well, thanks, Scott. That's really terrific. Reporting for Virginia Beach Frontline Firefighter with Scott Kalis, I'm Jim Milligan.
On the scene of earlier 2-alarm fire about 4 or 5 hours ago. Some points that we want to bring you today is about forcible entry and some things you need to consider when you're fighting a strip shop or multi-alarm fire. As you can see, a strip shop as we have here, 10 to 15 stores. Most of them are all built the same. They've got couple doors in the front here, and normally they have one door in the rear. As you can see, the ladder company probably forced this front door, the engine company took a hand line in and possibly attacked the fire. But some other things that you need to consider and get on top of as soon as you get on this scene is you have to get the doors in the rear of this strip shop open, because oftentimes there's only one way in the front and only one way out the back, and oftentimes those doors in the rear have some obstacles that can present some real dangers to firefighters. When you look at a door and you're going to force a door in the rear, there's a couple things you need to look at. First, look at the door for clues. We obviously have a lock here at the handle. There's going to be a lock there. And we see two plates. Both these plates are bolted in. Each plate has two bolts. That gives you an idea that obviously something is on the other side of this door that is keeping this door secure other than the handle. Let's take a look at the door. As we open the door, you can see that there are two U-bolts, or some types of U-brackets actually. They're homemade most of the time, and a bar rests right across the U-bracket, and there's a hole here where the bar rests, and oftentimes there's some type of padlock or some locking mechanism that locks the cross member into the U-bracket. Now, that is a very dangerous situation for firefighters. If you were to crawl to the rear of this door, grab the handle and try to escape, whether you're in a flashover or whether you're in a partial collapse of the store, you're going to encounter a door that's secured in this manner, and unless you've got some forcible entry tools with you, some bolt cutters, something that will cut that lock, this is going to pose an extreme problem, and it can be very dangerous for firefighters as they try to exit a building. Now let's take a look at this next door over to my left. Let's take a look at our second door, and I will say that as you see the pan shot of this strip center here, that the ladder company or the engine company did a really good job of getting these doors open and getting them forced. And you can see by the outside we have the same door as before. On this particular door, instead of the strips that we saw on the first door, we see two bolts. Again, when you do your size up, take a look at the outside of the door, because oftentimes brackets or locking mechanisms are secured to the inside of the door through the outside of this metal door. As we can see as we walk around, this particular door has a deadbolt or a locking mechanism at the top. So we have the handle, which all the doors possess with a lock in it, and we have a deadbolt. Fortunately, on this particular door, the key is inside the deadbolt. Again, if you encounter a door like this, especially if you're in smoky conditions, you're going to have to feel up and down the door. In this particular case, you would be fortunate enough to feel that it does have a deadbolt and that there's a key there, and this would help you get out. But again, optimal escape on a particular door like this is to have this door forced, again, by a ladder company or a specialized rescue. So if you're an interior firefighter, you don't have to worry about this. This door should already be forced at the very beginning. Now let's look at our third type of door. Okay, our last door here is a little bit more difficult to see. This was actually the fire room on this particular store fire. This is a multi-alarm fire. But if you look closely, you can see some of the bolt points on the door. There's bolts protruding. There's your deadbolt mechanism. This one doesn't have a handle on the outside. They've actually removed the handle and they've replaced this with a deadbolt lock. And you've also got bolts on the outside. Again, these are clues, they're indicators when you do your size up for forcible entry. This gives you an idea on what you're going to encounter on the inside. If we open the door, again, we have a different types of locking mechanism here. We have latch bolts at the top. You got two on each side at the top and two on each side of the bottom, as well as your deadbolt lock. Again, very difficult door for firefighters if you encounter something like this, especially if you're on the interior of this particular fire, smoky conditions, it's real hot and you have to escape or you have to exit in a quick manner. This door is going to present some problems to you along with the rest of these doors. Again, the key is two things here are your key. Number one, start thinking about getting these doors forced early in the operation. And number two, if you're the team that's going to forcibly entry or make forcible entry in these doors, consider your clues on the outside of the door. Give it a good size up. Oftentimes, normal hand tools may not open these doors. You may need some rabbit tools, some hydraulic tools, Hurst tools, spreaders, rams, something that will give you a mechanical advantage that these doors present some problems that sometimes Halligan bars and axes and things like that may just not open. So again, you may want to have that equipment available for you as well.
In our next program,
Master Firefighter Kurt Southall will bring us another forcible entry segment which concentrates on other techniques you can use to force doors. For Virginia Beach Frontline Firefighter, I'm Mark Pilot. Joining me is Troy Lapatina, the Executive Director of Fire Programs, and behind us is the state's newest mock-up, which is Flight 911, a new prop for the Commonwealth of Virginia Department of Fire Programs. Troy, can you just tell the firefighters what this mock-up is and basically what it means to the firefighters around the area?
Sure. What we have here is a $1.1 million training tool for the Aircraft Rescue and Firefighting Program. And what this will do is we can simulate a 1,300 square foot fuel oil spill, a fire in a jet engine or a turboprop engine in a high wing or a low wing configuration. We can simulate smoke in the cockpit, smoke in the cabin, smoke in a baggage area, battery box. We have all the connectors just like you would have on a regular aircraft. We also have color-coded piping inside for part of the training program, along with pressurized cylinders that you would encounter on an aircraft. Also in there we have mock-ups of the black box or the flight recorder boxes that you'd find on most commercial aircraft. So we have all these props that can be laid out, that can be used for familiarization, and this is part of a larger program, which is our ARF program that we roll out to Virginia's airport firefighters and also the structural departments. We'll be able to help train structural departments that respond in a mutual aid capacity or may have the opportunity to have small general aviation airports in their communities to be better prepared for aircraft emergencies.
Well, I'm certain that that's one of the questions that our firefighters probably have while they're watching this is, hey, will we get an opportunity to fight this fire on this particular mock-up?
Sure. This is a product of the Virginia Department of Fire Programs. It'll be accessible to all of Virginia's fire service, paid, volunteer, everyone, Department of Defense, airports. You know, our objective here is to get the most training out to the largest number of people that we can.
Well, it certainly is a nice mock-up for sure. Again, this is, I believe the name is Flight 911, is that correct?
Well, that's the tail number. The tail number is, as you can see, is VA 911, and eventually the plane will have a name up near the cockpit.
Okay. Well, again, the Department of Fire Program's newest mock-up, which is VA 911 and Flight 911, which is coming to a training facility near you, and we're certainly looking forward to training with this certainly innovative and state-of-the-art mock-up.
Thank you very much for coming out today.
Well, that's going to wrap up this month's Virginia Beach Frontline Firefighter. Thanks for joining us. Next month's program is going to be dedicated entirely to our news and talkback segments. We have a lot of news to show you. Bob has collected a lot of talkbacks over the last couple of months that he's got answers for you, so I know you'll be looking forward to that program as we bring those two special segments to you. Speaking of special segments, if you have some talent in the music area, we'd like to play some instruments or even sing a song or two, we'd love to have you and put you on the closing of our programs. So give us a call on that if you have any special interest or talent in that areas, and we'll get you on our program. Speaking of singing, we're going to close out this month's program with Master Firefighter Israel Medina as he sings In Christ Alone. Until next month, take care.
Christ alone will I glory, though I could pride myself in battles won. For I've been blessed beyond measure, and by His strength alone I've overcome. And oh, I could stop and count successes like diamonds in my hand, but those trophies could not equal to the grace by which I stand. In Christ alone I place my trust and find my glory in the power of the cross. With every victory, let it be said of me, my source of strength, my source of hope is Christ alone. Christ alone will I glory, for only by His grace I am redeemed, and only His tender mercy could reach beyond my weakness to my need. And now I seek no greater honor than just to know Him more, and to count my gains but losses for the glory of my